Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Heat coming to y'all with another episode, Hit the Sled. Before we get started on this episode of Hit the Sled, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Hit the Sled. Not only should you subscribe to my YouTube channel, but also you can follow me on X at Hit the Sled Pod. Hey, I got a very good episode coming to y'all today. Washington Commanders are currently on a bye. They will not be playing this week, but as I told you on the last episode of Hit the Sled, I told you guys that I'll be coming with something on this Detroit Lions Green Bay Packers game. And after watching that game, I thought it was a tremendous football game with Detroit pulling it out 31-28. And not only did Detroit pull it out, but it was a physical game. It was a game where Detroit wanted to establish the run. Detroit wanted to impose their physicality like they did the first game of the season. Green Bay was ready for it. Green Bay came out. They were physical as well. Offensively, they did not play well the first half against that banged up Detroit Lions defense. Detroit is a team that resembled their coach, Dan Campbell. They're a physical football team. They play hard. They take chances. And to be quite honest with you, currently right now, even with all the injuries, in my opinion, they the best football team in pro football. And the reason why I wanted to show you the reason why I think Detroit could actually win the Super Bowl is because of their offensive line. Their offensive line is led by Penei Sewell, the first round draft pick from 5 years ago. Man, this guy right here is a monster. Penei Sewell plays right tackle, but even though he plays right tackle, Detroit tries to run the ball on the right side of the offensive line. They try to follow him. They pull him. They do a lot of stuff with Penei Sewell, but it's not just him. That entire offensive line is extremely physical. They can run block well. They can play. They can pass protect well, to the point where Detroit's everything revolves around that offensive line offensively. And as the season moves forward, you're going to see that, in my opinion, to beat the Detroit Lions in the playoffs, you have to have a defensive line that can compete with their offensive line. If you don't have a defensive line that can actually rotate bodies, you have depth on your defensive line, you can rotate guys in and out, and you play with a physicality about you, you're not going to be able to beat them. To be quiet, you're just not going to be able to beat Detroit. The only way you could beat Detroit is by putting pressure on Jared Goff. I know everybody says that about the quarterback, put pressure on the quarterback and you can win the game. Yeah, that's true. Now with that Detroit offensive line, they're monsters. That line, they trying to run that ball. They got two dynamic running backs, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. Both of them complement each other, with Montgomery being the downhill force, physical. And you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's also physical, but he's also dynamic in the open field. They got good receivers. Well, Amon St. John, the wide receiver, who just got paid this past offseason. And they got a tight end in Laporta. Laporta is very good, very decent run blocker. So Detroit has it all. And like I said, they've been banged up on defense, but if you don't have some type of physicality about you up front on the defensive line, you're not going to beat Detroit in the playoffs, in my opinion. You're not going to beat them. And even though this game against Green Bay brought their physicality. That defensive line by Green Bay, they came ready to play, because the first game of the year, it was a rainy game in Green Bay. Man, Detroit came down there, man, they just whooped them up front. They flat out whooped them up front. So Green Bay came to this game, they said, we ain't having it. You ain't going to whoop us up front. But the reason I wanted to show this tape is because Dan Campbell and them boys, they still want to run it. It don't matter. Fourth down, they going. First down, they running it. And their entire passing game is predicated on the play action. Now, Jared Goff can stand back there and throw it at a real decent rate. But make no mistake about it. They want to throw that play. They want to throw the ball for play action. Because with those two dynamic running backs and that offensive line, the play action is highly effective. One of the things I want to show people is that even with the play action, It's a top 5 team in the league in rushing percentage. The Detroit Lions are trying 50% of the time they running the ball. Look at the teams right now that are top 5 in the league in offense. All of them currently right now are rushing teams. Any team that, look at this, the Philadelphia Eagles, they can run the football. The Pittsburgh Steelers can run the football. Green Bay can run the football. Baltimore can run the football. Detroit can run the football. Washington can run the football. These guys right here all leading their conferences except for Green Bay and Baltimore. But they're Super Bowl contenders. All these top 5 teams right here. These top 5 teams, all of them run the ball 50% or more times. They're just not passing teams. Look at the top 5 rushing yards per game. The Eagles is number 1 behind with Saquon Barkley. Baltimore, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson. My Washington Commanders, look at that. We're 3rd. And then look at Detroit, number 4. All of these guys are running football teams. They run the ball. You have to run the ball to be successful. It don't matter. It don't matter. You can play pee-wee. It don't matter. You can play club ball, high school, college, pro, the NFL. If you don't run the ball, you're not going to be successful. You got to run the football. You have to be a physical running team. Because if you don't run the ball, defenses can dictate to you. Defenses can push you around. You have to be able to run the football. Because if you can run the football, what happens is that this can happen to you. You become play action. You could be a play action team. The number 1 team in the NFL in play action is the Detroit Lions. They run play action 38% of the time. You have to be able to run the ball. Detroit runs the football hard, and not only do they run the football hard, they come downhill with physicality, and they use the run to set up the pass. So for them, if you're going to stop Detroit, if you want to stop this part of their offense, which is the play action, you got to stop the run game. You got to force them to take away almost 40% of their passing game got to be taken away by stopping that run game. So you got to bring your physical hat. So you the teams that got a defense that can stop them. Philadelphia, in my opinion, in NFC, the only team that can stop Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles with players. Detroit wants to run the ball down your throat. The Philadelphia Eagles are the only team, in my opinion, that have shown that they have the players and they have the scheme to do it, to shut them down in the NFC. I don't think the Packers can do it. I don't think the Commanders can do it. Minnesota, we're going to see. Minnesota gave Detroit a hell of a game. Minnesota got that defense up front. They do a hell of a job. So this thing here, when you play in Detroit, you got to be able to run this football. You got to be able to stop this run, If you're not able to stop the run game, you're in trouble because all of this comes open. This play action, which is a big part of their passing game, almost 40% of their passing game is off play action. So that means if they throw the ball 10 times, 4 of them is play action. And when people run play action, you know what happens? Big plays happen. The linebackers come up, safeties bite on the run, and they go deep. Tight end, get on top of the linebackers. Receivers open the middle. You got to be able to stop this run game because if you don't, Detroit is gonna kill you with that play action. So even in the game like play the Packers, even in the game when they played the Packers, and the Packers wanted to come out there and beat. What the Packers wanted to do. The Packers wanted to come out here and run this football. They wanted the Lions. The Lions wanted to come in and football. They want to run it against this dude right here, number 58. I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. Penei Sewell, he's all pro. Penei Sewell keeps this going. He's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. This fella right here is a Hall of Famer in the making. He got everything. So Detroit starts this game off. That's where they trying to go. They trying to establish that run game. They ain't hiding it. They ain't doing, man. They trying to fall right at the Packers. Like I said, the first game of the year, Green Bay right here. They said we ain't having it this week. They try to slow, but man, they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't stop them the whole way. This was a physical old school game right here. This was a feed that now. This was a physical old school game because you had to bring your hard hat. They pulling. Green Bay was selling out on this run because they know what Detroit trying to do. They know what Detroit do. They know what Detroit trying to do. Detroit team here, the up here. You got the guard pulling here to come here. You got him back here coming. Man, they trying to get this guy up here, up in here. Man, Detroit was trying to bring that. That didn't. Hey, look at this. You see what I'll tell you about Montgomery? Now you tell me where was that? Where was the hole at right here? Where was it a hole at? He made himself a hole. He made a hole for himself. Where we got this guy coming here, this coming here. He getting hit right here. Team with the tight ends here. They got him dead to right. They got him dead to right. But you know what he did? He gets out of it. And then he kept running. He's stumbling and bumbling and kept going. If this corner don't make this tackle right here, if he don't grab onto that leg right there, he off to the races. That's what we call physicality. He ready. You got to understand when you play the Lions this year, you got to be ready for their physical game. Dan Campbell is running that ball. You see where they had the goal line? Look where let me go back to it for y'all. Look behind. They running behind they all pro right here. This guy. That's where I want to go. They want to run behind that dude right there. They ain't ashamed to tell you. Look at that. They got a double team power football. Power football by Detroit. Combo up here to up here. Block here. They trying to come downhill. Look hole. Even I can run through that hole. Look at that hole they created. Look at that hole. They got a double team here going up the head. This guy right here, number 25, he ain't want no part of it. They ain't want no part of it. He ain't want no part of it. And then it's a grown man on his back. They put a grown man on their back out there. Look at this. Look at this. 77 right here. Look him out here. Look at this. Watch this. That's a grown man. He power driving to the ground. Panay, look at that hole Panay Sue and them boys created. You see that hole? You see that? Let me rewind it again. They got a double team here. The center goes up the head. Look at it. They about to create a chasm right here that anybody can run into. That's power football. That's old school. Look at that. That's old school. You see that? Look at that hole Montgomery about to run into. Look how far Panay Sue done drove 25. 25, why he ain't feeling? You know why? You know why 25 feeling? Because he don't want no parts of that. He at the goal line. Why he ain't feeling? He sees it. He looking right at it. Why he ain't feeling? Why he ain't coming up here? Why is 25 not coming up here trying to stop this run? You know why? Because he don't part of it. Ain't nobody blocking. That's a grown man right there on his back. Grown man. That's that Montgomery running in. Look at that. Run through that hole. That's running behind they all pro. That's what they do. That's what they see that. So what you is Detroit is for real. The Lions are trying to work you, hit you, and then they bring Montgomery in there. Look at that. Again, where they running at? They running on the right side. Look where they running behind Panay Sue and them boys. That's where they run. They trying to run a Green Bay throw. It fast, but man, it was a hole. That's what I'm trying to tell you. This thing right here, man. The Lions, whoever attempts to beat the Lions this year, you better have You better have that physicality with you. You better have that physicality with you, because if you ain't got you ain't beating these boys. And the Packers tried. The Packers tried to bring that physicality. Again, where they at? On the right side. They running behind Panay Sewell. Double team. We got even a receiver trying to get a block up here. Now, Green Bay did a tremendous job trying to fill that hole. It's still a hole there. It's still a hole. But Green Bay was determined. They tried their best to prevent these boys from running this ball down their throat. But it was holes there now. Don't get twisted. It was a hole for Jahmyr Gibbs. It was a hole right there. But Green Bay, they played hard. They played with determination. They tried to give it their all. They really did. But it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. They still losing this game. Look at this. They say, all right, we ain't going to the right side no more. This was the play right here, in my opinion, was supposed to go this way. But Jahmyr Gibbs going to cut it out. So he ran against the board. The way the blocking scheme was set up, he cut it outside. Look at this. He running over dudes, and he ain't the power back. Watch him run over the safety. Watch him run over this dude right here. He come running down here all fast. Boom. Kept going. That's a grown man. Grown man got knocked on his butt right there. And he kept running. So when I tell you these boys playing with physicality, if you don't rap with these boys, they're gonna do something to you. They're gonna do something to you. It's absolutely no doubt. So you got to bring your hard hat, man. You really got to bring your hard hat against Detroit. You got to be beating people quick up front before they get started. Like this guy did for the Packers. The Packers played with great effort this game because they got ran through the first game. They played with great effort. This dude right here beat the guard clean. That's what you gotta do. Beat the center. Keep it clean and make. That's what you gotta do. You gotta get to them before they get started. Because if you don't, they're gonna run it down your throat. They're gonna run it right down your throat. They're gonna run it. You have to be prepared to play Detroit. Because if you ain't prepared, you're in trouble. See that? Where the hole was at? Ain't no hole. So they said, man, we're gonna make you could. Yeah, he could have ran up in here, but he saw this right here. So he said, you know what? I'm gonna have to cut this thing back. He tried to. That got clogged up. That's why I said the Packers played with determination, but Montgomery found something. Hard running, moving the pile. That's what you got to do. Look at the receiver. St. Brown, you got to be prepared for the physical nature of the Lions. The Lions are a physical bunch. They are a physical bunch. Physical. And like I said, Green Bay came ready to go. They said, man, y'all ain't going to do what y'all did to us the first game. Y'all ain't going to do that to us. We going to run downhill, but hey, y'all not going to just do that against us. He should have stayed out here. Look at it. Now look at this hole. You mean to tell me somebody couldn't run through this or hit over there? That's what you're telling me? So, man, listen. Look at that. That's running there. I don't see much of that in today's NFL. I see a lot of old school stuff. I see a lot of new school, throwing the ball every play. Look at this. This play right here was supposed up the middle. Green Bay, look at that. Green Bay does a tremendous job clogging up. This guy right here, number 7, Green Bay tries to, the Lions, hey, this play was designed to come here. He's 7, they come off, both of them, meets number 7 in the hole. Jahmyr Gibbs get it, he try to bounce it. That's great vision, eh? Boom. See that? Man, listen. You got to play sound fundamental football with the Lions. Because if you don't do that, you in trouble. Detroit can win the Super Bowl. People got to stop thinking about the Lions like the old Lions from back in the day when Matthew Stafford and Megatron and them was there when they was going 0-16. That ain't that same Detroit right there. Detroit can win the Super Bowl. I think the only team that can beat Detroit in the NFC is the Philadelphia. I don't see another team that can match up with them in their physicality of their offensive line. You gotta be ready for that physicality with Detroit, man. You really gotta be physical up front, prepared for Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jared Goff is highly effective in his offense. Jared Goff has made a Super Bowl. Yes, he didn't beat the Patriots, but he has made a Super Bowl. So the point I'm trying to tell you is you got to be willing to meet them at their level, which is high-level physicality, prepared to stop the run, and be able to get to the quarterback with your front defensive line. You have to be able to do it, because if you're not able to do it, you're not going to beat them. Detroit right now is 12-1. Think about that for a second. It's no fluke either. Detroit is 12-1. They're creative in their offensive plays. They're creative in their running plays. And, man, I'm going to tell you this now. If you don't come ready to play against these boys, you will lose. You will lose. And I want to tell you now, first to say it on Hit the Sled, if you don't have a defensive line, you will lose to Detroit. You will lose to the Lions. The Lions can win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm going to make my playoff predictions when the playoff comes around. But I'm going to tell you now, if you don't get that wrapped around your head, you're going to go down. You got to understand what you're dealing with. With that being said, thank you for watching me on this episode of Hit the Sled. I'm going to we can't wait to enjoy a weekend of football. We got the Texas versus Georgia game going on now. Texas up more than 63. They can't score touchdowns. That might come back to bite them. You got to score touchdowns. You got to score touchdowns to beat teams. You can't be kicking field goals, Texas. Can't be Georgia in the game. Keeping Georgia in the game. Can't be kicking field goals, Texas. Can't be kicking field goals. Appreciate everybody watching me on Hit the Sled. Thank you to everybody. I'm over 105,000 me right now on Hit the Sled. I truly appreciate everybody watching me on Hit the Sled. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment. I truly appreciate everybody watching me on Hit the Sled. With that being said, God bless you. Check me out on my next episode. I'll be coming next. And truly appreciate everybody watching on Hit the Sled. Good night and God bless.